Mm, that was so good for my soul. Have you ever said that? Or have you ever heard that said? Oh, that was so good for my soul. And it's obvious probably come from something you've done or something that someone has done to you or for you, or it's come out of a practice, something, an activity that you've done. Might be a habit or a custom. It's a practice that somehow has just restored your soul, restored who you are, restored your sense of well-being. And we've been doing this series on how a soul is restored to life. And I've put a proposition forward that there's three things that restore the soul, and they are people. Some people just seem to restore your soul. They just know how to um, bring well-being to your soul. Some people, of course, can train it, but some people just know how to restore it. Second thing is places. There are places that I can go to that just seem to oh, fill me, yeah, with a new sense of restoration, of peace, of all sorts of different things. And there are also, the third thing is practices that you do on a regular basis that seem to just fill your life up, restore what might have been drained. And today's video podcast is about practices that you do. And I've got like five practices, or what I probably should call more like categories of practices that um, I think are the five best practices that are there to help restore one's soul. The first one is what I'm calling ceasing practices. So these are practices that ask you to stop. Stop all you're doing. Stop all running around, activity, busyness, stopping. Stop, stop, stop. Uh, these are practices that cause you to pause, catch your breath, take a moment, stop all you're doing. And I have one day a week where I cease all my normal activities. And in the Jewish religion and in the Christian faith, we have what we call as the Sabbath. And the word Sabbath or Shabbat means to cease. And it's a day of often religious observance, like you might go to a place of worship, and an abstinence, saying no from work, or for things that just going to cause you to um, have to stress, have to work at. And it's been kept by Jewish people and Christians and others for centuries. And in the Jewish religion, it starts on the Friday evening and it goes through to the Saturday evening. Often Christians will do it from Sunday, just during the day. But it's interesting, just thinking about it, is that a Friday evening and right through the night into the Saturday evening. And it's much like in Genesis where it says the day really starts when you go to sleep. And I've got another blog post about that. But for me, in practical terms, to cease on a Sunday for me, and it could be any day of the week, doesn't have to be a Sunday. It means I don't cook meals on a Sunday. I might prepare them in advance so that they're ready to go. I don't have to do the activity. I don't go shopping on a Sunday, or try not to. So in advance, I think, okay, I'll do my shopping on the Saturday, or do it the following week. So I actively prepare in my brain during the week for that day off. So that and what that means is that actually it helps the brain to start to think ahead and plan in other ways and means too. So I actively prepare in the days ahead to cease, to stop. And I shift things around my schedule so I can have that day off. And I trust God that in the following 6 days after the Sabbath, that it'll be all provided. And this is what I've learned that by having the cease day, the Sabbath, yeah, everything seems to work fine. In fact, it's really good. Now look, I'm not legalistic about this so that I won't do anything on a Sunday that might be work. I'm not going to etch it in stone. Look, if a crisis happens and I need to attend something in my work life, I'll attend it. And Jesus was very clear that the Sabbath was meant for men, not men meant for the Sabbath. And he said, "Is there anyone here?" And he was talking to the religious leaders who were following the Sabbath with absolute strictness. Is there anyone here, if a child or an animal fell down a well, wouldn't rush to pull him out immediately? Not asking if it's a Sabbath or not. No, Jesus was saying, look, you know, if your donkey or your child's fallen down a well on the Sabbath, don't consider it work to be pulling them out. No, yeah, have some common sense here. Having a Shabbat or a cease day becomes actually, I've found, a life transforming practice, and it's something that I consciously want to work into my life more. And it teaches you, I think, to number your days, to just say, okay, I've got 6 days to work, right? And so I plan those 6 days so I can have the rest. And 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 I put things off that I might just do on Sunday. I put them off to be on during the week. Teaches you to number days, and I think it's probably one of the most important activities, um, practices you can have to restore your soul. And I seriously wondered, for the people that I talk to and listen to, is that how many Sabbaths have you missed? And is your body saying, we've got to catch up here? You need to rest. You need to rest. You need to catch up all the Sabbaths that you haven't taken. The second practice, well, it's one that you probably do already, but it's probably not recognized as a practice to restore the soul, and that is sleep. It's a gift. Sleep is a gift that restores the soul, not just the body, but restores yourself. And look, I know sleep can be a problem for many people. I've had struggles with sleeping for a while, not so bad at the moment, but getting to sleep, staying asleep, light sleep. Um, but it is a practice that restores yourself. And I even think little naps during the day really good for the sleep, really good for the soul. And often it's something I'll do on my cease day, on my Shabbat or Sabbath. I'll have little afternoon naps and just to chill out. And it's a practice, it's a discipline, it's a habit to have good sleeps. It's good for your body, it's good for your soul. The third best practice, I believe, is food and drink practices. You think, what? Yeah, I believe that eating good and healthy food and drink does something to restore yourself. Nutritious food, healthy food that doesn't weigh you down. Not processed stuff so much. It's more about natural foods. Foods that have been grown healthily ways and full of flavour, full of soul, essentially. And drinking good water, drinking good fluids, juices, and lovely, yummy fluids. And look, it's not just eating for the sake of eating that I need this food or water. It's actually eating to enjoy all those flavours and textures, and not rushing the meal, but quietly enjoying the provision. And possibly it's like eating a meal with others, talking about the experiences of the day or the week, and maybe commenting about the food and the flavours. Uh, Often there could be a prayerful thankfulness about the for the food and those who have gone into growing them and harvesting them and bringing them to the table and cooking them and whatever like that. But there's a gratefulness. And I think of Elijah when he was running for his life and he was tired and he's exhausted and he He fell down and he went to sleep. Oh, there's the second practice. He went to sleep. And it says in 1 Kings 9 that he lay down under the broom tree and fell asleep. Suddenly, an angel touched him and said to him, "Get up and eat." He looked up. He looked, and there at his head was a cake baked on hot stones and a jar of water. He ate and drank and lay down again. The angel of the Lord came a second time and touched him and said, "Get up and eat. Otherwise, the journey will be too much for you." He got up and ate and drank, and then he went in the strength of that food for 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the Mount of God. That must have been some food, eh? It must have been so full of nutrition and, yeah. But there was sleep and there was good food. The fourth practice that I think is really important to restore the soul is having what I would call creativity practices. Now, a question I often ask people who are tired and worn out and burnt out is, where are you being creative? And they might look at me like, what? What do you mean being creative? Well, are you creating anywhere? You see, I believe that we were all born to be creative, to have expressions of creativity, to follow what God did with their creativity in creating the whole world. We are called to go on creating. And so often I find is that many people lose their creativity to the tedium and the need of the everyday. Um, and a sign of wellness, I think, is an expression of being creative. It could be in cooking something interesting. It could be making music, art, sewing, woodworking, card making, gardening, you name it. It could be a lot of different things. But they're all practices that can restore the soul. And often I find it's something quite tangible and quite tactile that truly helps. So tangible and tactile, something you can feel and hold and sense. It's not so much digital type stuff. The practice of being creative, I believe, is a sign of health. And say if you're in a very creative work as such, say maybe you're a writer or that's your work, you create all the time. It could be that you do some other type of creativity that is different to what you normally be doing in your work. So for me, I'm a gardener, and so I do a lot of creativity in the gardens. So this writing and so on is another form of creativity that sort of balances that other one out. All right. The fifth practice to restore the soul are what I would call devotional practices. And these are group of practices that speak to the internal dialogue you might be having with God. Practices that are based around prayer, Bible reading, scripture, worship. So a few suggestions are things like Bible reading, listening to Lectio Divina, and I've got some links over here on the blog. Journaling, meditation on scripture, Christian mindfulness, prayer, singing, silence, stillness, and there's a host of other type of practices that you can do that can be practices you do every day or week to help you restore your soul. All of these five groups of practices, they all add up. Well, they all add up like little millimeters to help restore and help to maintain the value of your soul, the strength of your soul, the energy levels. And something I suggest often is to do the cup exercise. And the cup exercise is a very simple little exercise where you get a cup like this one, which I've just drunk out of, and you say, what has filled my cup? What sort of things have given me energy for the day or the week? What has filled my cup? The next question is, what has drained my cup? What has taken life out of me? What has emptied life out of me? And then reflecting on those things and saying, well, actually, some cup drainers are also cup fillers, some cup fillers, also some cup drainers. And then, say at the end of the week, after you've done this for the 5 or 7 days you do it, is to reflect over it and say, what are some patterns? What are some trends that I see that are filling my cup? What are some that are draining my cup? And working on those particular areas. You do this over a long period of time, and you'll soon start to see what practices need to change. And I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you found this series really helpful, because we all need to be conscious of how we are in our soul, in our life, whether we are drained, whether we're empty, whether we're taking conscious decisions to care for ourselves and others. Okay. Hey, leave some comments below. Sign up to my email list. Send me an email, barry@turningthepage.co.nz, and love to be in contact with you. Bye.